everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a new playthrough series. Today I'm trying something new. I'm trying a game called Cartograph. It's by Brandon Lee. It's brand new. It caught my eye. I saw an ad for it, and I didn't get the printout. The printout, it comes from overseas, and right now I can't pay for the shipping, so I got the PDF instead. And in this game, you play this explorer that has just found this new land. And you're going to be rolling dice to draw your map and documenting it in a journal type position. And I've read the rule book through once. I'll probably read it again, but I wanted to go ahead and start playing it. And I figure what I'll do in this episode is roll up my character and then do a first few explorations. So the first thing you're going to need is a deck of cards. I have one. You also need to make sure that you have a red joker and a black joker. I don't know if this is, everywhere, but I seem to recall that most decks come with two jokers and they're usually different colors. In this case, the black one's pretty easy and the color one would just be the red one, and the lettering is red. This deck will be shuffled with the jokers in the deck. So normally the games you play with a deck of cards, you take the jokers out. But in this one, the jokers aren't great. When you draw a joker, you will track it. And your game will end when you get 3 of any one type of joker. So if you get 3 black jokers, your game ends. If you draw 3 red jokers, your game ends. Obviously you're going to play for a while because you will discard cards, and then when you run out, you'll shuffle again and start over. So I don't think the odds of the game ending soon, quickly, are going to happen. It is possible that you will eventually, when you go through the deck, at least 5 times you'll have drawn 3 jokers or 3 red jokers or 3 black jokers. It's just you can't get away from it. All right. The next thing you're going to need is 6-sided dice, and it recommends that you have 3 different colors and at least 3 to 4 of each. So the gray are going to be what I call my landmark dice. The green are biome dice, and the red are temporary dice. So you want to make sure that you get some color dice and then know which is which. And that will be all you need. And you also need a D20. Also need a D20. You will need some paper to draw your map on. I have this dry erase board, which I'm going to use. And I also have the journal, which I'm going to use to keep track of things. When the game begins, it says you start with 1 food, 1 coin, and 1 wares. And wares are generic. It's supposed to be stuff that you pick up on your explorations. It could be furs from animals that you hunt. It could be beads or shells or what have you. The game is very loosely, it's loose on the terminology because it's a storytelling game. So when they say coin, it could be beads, shells, gold coins. It could be anything. It's up to you to decide how you want to do it. Let's go ahead and roll my character up. On page 6, it says you're going to roll your name. So you roll a d20 for the first and the last, twice on the name for a first and last name. Okay, so the first name is going to be 11, which is Harlow, and the last name is going to be Bates. So my name is Harlow Bates. Easy enough. Value and disposition. Okay. So it says the value is what you hold. The value shows what is important to your cartographer. Disposition is a general tone of how they interact with the world. So let's do value. 2, that is permanence. Not quite sure how that will play out, but we'll write it down. Permanence. Maybe I don't like to disturb something that looks like it's in its final, I don't want to disturb something in nature that's sort of reached its end. And let's look at disposition. Disposition is 12, which is curious. Okay, that's not a bad one. Reputation starts at 0, and your reputation can go positive or negative. You want it to stay positive because it will affect the costs of things that you can buy or sell when you interact with people that you discover or creatures. This is a fantasy land, by the way, and the rules say that magic should exist, but you can play the game however you want. It even gives you some examples of how to convert it to a sci-fi version, which is kind of cool. All right, now I roll on, it says background. Before your cartographer journeyed to the new land, they had a rich life full of aspirations, friends, foes, and adventure. Roll on the tables on the next page to define where they come from or create your own background. Well, I'm gonna write it out. The land I come from is, oh, you're supposed to roll a 6, is controlled. All right, so land I come from is controlled. All right, so maybe there's a king or a military presence. The descriptor is small. So I come from a small land that's controlled. So I'm just gonna say probably dictator. Not anxious to return. I'm not anxious to return. I decided to leave, and this is supposed to affect the story, like how you know, maybe I want to go back. I decided to leave, but maybe the reason I chose to leave will be countered by something and I'll go back. The reason I decided to leave is 6. I am following clues left by a late family member. Clues by late family member. And while I'm there, or up close, let's go ahead and roll for the name of that person. Let's go with, well, D20. His name is 9. Her name was Yana Barlow. Yana Barlow. Let's just call her my great-great-grandmother or great-grandmother. So that could come into the story. Maybe I'm going to encounter her or find out what happened to her. There is a specialization. Let's roll for that. It's a D6. I'm a scientist. And it says you start with 4 extra coins. All right, good. So I start with 5 coins. And I'm going to make a dry erase board for my character sheet so I don't have to keep erasing and scratching out, but I just needed to get going, and I haven't done a character sheet for this yet. All right, I did my background. I left, but okay, so I decided to leave because I'm looking for clues, and then the last thing is, but I left behind a substantial debt. A substantial debt. Okay, so maybe I need to, if I ever hope to return, maybe I need to find some riches. I don't know. All right, characteristics. We'll do it. This describes your character. First one, 17, blueprint style tattoos. Well, I'm a wild scientist. I have blueprint tattoos, which actually sound kind of cool. I don't have tattoos myself, but hey, if I did, that wouldn't be too bad. And then my appearance is 7, intricate glasses. That fits with the science look and the punk aesthetic. And intricate glasses. All right. Maybe I could lose them. I don't know. Opening scene. All right, here we go. So let me flip to the front of the book. The opening scene. Roll my voyage to the new land. Voyage to new land by way of oceanic. Well, that makes sense. There are other options, but I'm not going to read them all to you because I want you to find some of the secrets. 2, oceanic portal. Interesting. So, by the way, what I'm going to do at the end of each one of these episodes is I'm going to take a picture of the map, scan it as a PDF, and I'm going to include the journal entries for my character so that you can read along, read his story, and it will develop hopefully until I draw 3 jacks, 3 jokers of a type, or die, starve, what have you. All right, so an oceanic portal. The journey was voyage to the new land. Journey was Complicated and strange. All right, this just helps you come up with the journal entries. What left you bewildered? That is a question that I need to answer in my journal. What left you bewildered? All right. Okay, I've got my resources. My reputation is 0. I have no wounds. I have 5 coins. I have 1 wear, and you can sell them at settlements or use them to trade and things like that. Items, I don't currently have any items. It says items are significant boons. They offer powerful bonuses that can help you fill out your map quicker. You cannot carry duplicates. If you are instructed to acquire a random item, draw and discard the top card of the deck and consult the item table on page 52. All right, there's tables, by the way, in this book that I'll be referencing. So here comes the fun part, the map. So this, I've seen this in other books, gaming sources, where you toss the dice and the dice become something. One of them that I used to play for D&D, it was to create this town. You would roll a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and a D20 on your map. And wherever they landed, you consulted charts and it told you what the building was. And then you would roll that die on another chart and it would tell you like what the NPC or what the mystery was there. It was kind of cool. This one does something similar, but again, it uses the D6. It tells you should draw in pencil, but again, I'm going to do it in dry erase. And it says try to keep no more than a paragraph related to each drawing. Each time you draw, you're going to take what's called an explore action. You're going to explore or do something. And it's telling you to keep them brief, but keep them to just a few sentences. And let's see, the prompts, I already know about the prompts. The dice I've got, the dice pool, and the game ends. We already explained that. It says, you win the game, by the way, if you can manage to name 10 locations on your map and have at least 1 complete coastline. Your cartographer retires and has finished their journey. A completed coastline is defined by a single unbroken coast stretching from one page edge to the other. So going from here to here or here to here, or by a fully enclosed island. If your complete coastline surrounds an island, it must have at least 5 named locations. Okay, we're getting there. It says you can change the length of the game. If you want a shorter game, try 6 locations. For a longer game, try 15 locations. All right, let's go ahead. Let me get to the part where I'm... Oh yeah, rolling doubles is interesting. When you roll doubles, it says... for rolls of the same value that land near each other, you may like to combine them into a single large biome or effect. 2 rolls of 1, for example, may denote 1 large forest rather than 2 small forests. So, cycle of play, there are 3 phases. There's the explore phase, and this is where I'll roll my dice, mark the coastlines and the landmarks that I want to explore. Consult the exploration table to begin sketching the map, and then return all the dice to the pool. You might want to do this as you draw the map, returning a die. Okay, I'll explain that when we get there. Then there is an arrival phase. And during the arrival phase, you will pick a location on your map, and you will travel to it. If it's not the closest location, you lose a food, because it's like it's tracking. A close location might be able to get there in half a day and no food loss, but two away, a further one away would take 1. And you can choose to travel to a landmark or a biome. You will draw a dashed line from your previous location to this one. If this is the first arrival of the game, skip this. Yeah, I won't be doing that on the first one. Then, once you travel to a location, you draw a card and consult the journey table. This will describe the journey there. Then consult the appropriate location table and respond to the prompts. Write a sentence or 2 describing and name it. And there you go. So to win the game, I got to do 10 of them, which doesn't seem too hard, but I've read the rules, and there can be some tricks to this game. There can be some dangers and other stuff. So, All right, and then finally there is what's called the rest phase. And during the rest phase, all temporary dice, which in my case are red, they go back to the game pool. You lose any one die from your pool. So remember, you're going to have this pool, and at the end of a rest, or during a rest phase, you're going to lose one. So you're going to be rolling fewer locations with them or fewer biomes, and I'll get to that in a minute. It says if you're at a settlement, you can roll a die and have the result to determine the value of wares. So you could buy wares. And also it's the cost to sell them. And you always round up. Then it says select 2 different actions. There's rest actions you can perform. We'll get to those. And it says you may lose 1 coin to take a 3rd action. All right. I'm not going to, and then of course the jokers, we've already explained that. Let's go ahead and do the turn, okay? So, all right, let me see. Here we go. All right, so during the explore phase, I'm going to go back here. Where were we? Sorry. Okay, where'd you go? All right. Wilderness actions, rest phase. Here we go. Sorry. All right. The exploration phase. Roll your dice pool. Now, the rules say that you start with 1 location die and 1 location die and 2 biome. Lose 1 if you settlement. Select 2. You may choose 1. Okay. I know it said it somewhere, and I'm trying to remember. When you start, you game ends the dice. When rolling, okay, the dice pool. I'll edit it out. There's 1 action. I know it said it in here. The rule book is very well done. Having read it through 1 time, I'm trying to remember where everything is. Reputation, resources. Come on, where is it? Setup. You start with 1 landmark and 3 biome. That is my dice pool. All right, sorry about that. Let's go and get started. The exploration phase. You roll your dice pool directly onto your map. It says try to roll them close together. Use a cup or upturning it into the paper where if some dice fall off the paper, re-roll them. All right, I'm going to re-roll that one. And it says you can pull them in for space purposes. So I'm going to keep the orientation, but that's how it's going to be. So my landmark rolled a 1 and my biomes rolled a 3. So it says mark coastlines around all landmark. Now here's the trick. A coastline is defined by a few centimeters of coast. So what I can do is you draw the coast and then you draw water around it. And it gives you some symbols to use, but that's going to be what my coastline looks like until I come up with something better. It says settlements will often find themselves near water. Make a rough coastline around each landmark. Consult the exploration table and begin sketching your map. So what you do is you go back to the exploration table, which is on page 50. So you pick the dice up as you draw them. So let's see, what is this going to be? So you take the number, and the number 1 says nothing. There is nothing there. Then the biomes. For the biome for a 2 is a mountain. A range of 2 dice. So there's only 1 2. So it's a mountain. So I'll draw some mountains. And then for the 3s, it's a lake. It's a river if 2 dice. So there are 2. So a river will go like this. All right. So I've drawn those. And now I have to go back and choose. I've done the arrival. Okay, so I'm going to consult the appropriate location and respond to the prompts for your draw. Oh, yeah, you got to draw a card. That's right. Draw a card from the deck and consult the journey table. But first I have to pick a Consult the exploration, sketch your map, return all dice back to your dice pool. All right, so all the dice go back to my dice pool. Remember, when you take a rest action, you're going to lose one. Now we do the arrival phase. Choose a location. If the chosen location is not, so this is the first time, so I can pick where I start. I'm going to start here since there was nothing here. And I am going to go to the mountains. So it says draw a dashed line from your previous location to this one. All right. Draw a card from the deck and consult the journey table. So I drew a 2 of clubs. So let's go back here. A 2 of clubs on the journey table. Oh, it doesn't. It's not the suit. The suit doesn't matter. Just the value. A 2 says your travels were expedited by something unexpected. What quickened your journey and why? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put landed. They dropped me off on shore. Landed. Shoreline. Then I traveled to the mountains. And I'm going to write a prompt here. Something unexpected. What quickened your journey? And why? And it says gain a reputation. So I'll go back here, my reputation is now 1. All right, that right there will be one paragraph in my journal. And again, I'll collect those in a document so you can see how the game progresses. So I did the arrival, so let's go back. Let's go back and figure that out. The arrival phase. Draw a card, answer your prompts, consult the appropriate location table, and respond to the prompt for that. So I got to go to the mountains. Mountain names. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Do I name them now? I think I name them. Name the location. Okay, so once you're there, you get to name it. So this is one of the 10 that I'm doing, and there is a mountain naming, forest names, mountain names. The mountain range is called 18. Dormant, and then you roll a suffix, 8. Dormant Rise. All right, so the mountain range is called the Dormant Rise Mountains. Dormant Rise Mountain. All right, that's the name. And then there's a table where you roll for mountain prompts. And here, I want you to show this. There's red mountain prompt, black. Now I pulled a 2 of clubs, so it's black. This is where the suit and the color comes in. So I rolled a 2 black, which says whispering and haunted. A blinding fog clings to the crags. What words do you hear on the wind? All right, so whispering and haunted. And it asks me a blind fog. All right, this is all story stuff. What words do you hear? All right. Now I traveled to one location, the nearest, not the second, farthest away, so I don't have to burn a food. And it says, and some of these say gain food, gain a wound, lose a reputation, things like that. This one has nothing, so I don't lose anything. And then, of course, I name it. And then the next is the rest phase. After a hard day's travel, your cartographer has some downtime. Kick up your feet, talk to the locals, buy some items, go out hunting, sell some wares. It says you lose all temporary dice. I didn't get any. Lose any 1 remaining die from your dice pool. I will choose to lose a biome. If you're at a settlement, I am not. Select 2 different actions from the appropriate action list. Depending on where your cartographer ends up, different sets of actions are available. You may lose a coin to take a third. So let's see. The rest actions are as follows. I can converse. Maybe I find somebody at the mountains to talk to. I can sleep. I can heal. Heal says lose a coin and remove a wound. I can restock, gain 1 food or 1 wear. If I sleep, I gain a biome die, and it says you may choose to lose a food to gain an additional biome die. If I talk to somebody, lose a coin, gain 1 temporary die, and if you're at town, gain an additional temporary. I can sell. Now, right now, selling and buying are probably not in the cards. I'm in a mountain range here. So I'm going to do, let's do a, well, definitely let's sleep. I'm going to choose 2 actions. First action is a sleep, and the second action is going to be a converse. So the sleep action says I gain a biome die, and it says I can choose to lose a food to gain an additional one. Well, I only lost 1, so I'm not going to lose another one. I don't want to lose another one. So I'm done there. Converse, lose a coin, gain 1 temporary die. So I gain a temporary, but I lose 1 of my 5 coins, so I'm down to 4. I'm not at a town, so I can't do that. So I've done my sleep and I've done my converse. Now, when you do a rest, if you find yourself anywhere but a settlement, you can only camp, converse, and hunt. I forgot about hunting. Hunting says roll a die and gain that much food. Lose 1 die of your choice. So when you hunt, you get to pick one of your regular die, but now I can lose a coin to, wait, it said I could lose a coin to take a 3rd action, so I could hunt and gain some food. Let's do that. I will choose to lose 1 of my biomes, and I'm going to choose a hunt. So roll a die and gain that much food. 3, so I gained 3 food, so I'm at 4. And then I didn't do the jokers. This is all sample play stuff. And by the way, you can play this multiplayer. There's a section in the back of the book that lets you do multiplayer. There's also things you do where you will take skill tests. I haven't had to do any of those on this game, but I'm sure that is coming. And then, like I said, most of the back of the book is just tables, which there's a lot of them, and that tells me that this game's got some beef to it. It's going to have some replayability. There's a town name table, an encampment name table, region name table, people types, people traits, people focuses, wares table, currency table, hunting table. So let's do the hunting. Let's roll for that. 1 to 3. 1 to 3. Foraged flora. So it was just basically, and I also hunted. So I found some veggies. Plus 4 food, or plus, what was it, 3? Did I roll it? 3 plus 3 food. The flora was sweet, and it was a fungus, like a sweet mushrooms. All right, all of this again is going to help me. There's a wound table, failure table. Oh, this is awesome. All right. There's also a very, very well done 1-page rules reference, which I think is incredible. I will be printing this out and using it in my next game. All right, that's all I got in this episode. I'll be back in a week with the next episode. Until then, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer. The game is called Cartograph. I'm not sure where the stress on that symbol is, by Brandon Lee. I will put a link in the video description below to where you can find this. One of these days I may get the hardback if I end up liking it a lot. All right, that's all I got. This is Jim the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in a week. Everybody, take care.
Check out the new RPG and Wargame newsletter. Each week the Tabletop Engineer shares news, products, Kickstarters, and much more related to the gaming hobby. It's free to subscribe, so check out the link in the video description below to sign up.